estate for many years, just celebrating 25 years with Royal LePage, and it's a national company, and I'll get into some of that. But today's not really a commercial about our brokerages or about our company or about the franchisor. It's really about an overview and maybe questions you should ask yourself and ask us when you start thinking about interviewing a brokerage. I'm not sure what stage everybody's at, but I'm assuming everybody's going through the program at different stages right now. There may also be some that have heard about this who are not in the program. I'm not entirely sure. So my role in the company, I manage one of our offices, but I also, my favorite part of the business is mentoring and helping people exceed their own sort of thoughts of how they could do in this business. So as broker of record, I'm responsible for basically the administrative side of the company, but also responsible for every single one of our salespeople from a compliance point of view. And I'm also responsible for making sure the trust account is properly managed and protected, because we do hold consumer funds. Talia, our marketing director, is here too. Hi, Talia. She said I had to be a little bit more personal, not just businessy. So she added that I have a passion for leadership, music, and nature. So definitely passion for all three. I do play some musical instruments, and you'll find me somewhere outside in all seasons, doing all sorts of different hobbies, lots of them. One of my favorites is fly fishing in rivers, anywhere I can. So that's enough about me. You can ask me any questions you want. We're going to have a Q&A towards the end. And why don't we just move into some of the content. So a little bit, there we are. We're going to talk about 4 things today, and then we're going to talk about whatever else you want us to answer for you. So number 1 is what makes a great real estate agent. And really, these are attributes. And you don't have to match all of them, but I think you'll find that there's a bit of a trend. And so the next thing you want to think about is, once you are completing your courses, and probably before you complete your courses, you should start thinking about where you want to land as a career. What company do you want to be with? As I'm sure you know, that once you finish your courses, that gives you the opportunity to register with a brokerage and apply for your license in Ontario through the Real Estate Council of Ontario. So I think that's one of the most important things you can be thinking about, other than passing your courses, is where do I want to land? So I'm going to cover that for you too. There's no commercial here about, you should choose Royal LePage or choose another brokerage. That's not why we're here. The 2 things that I want to achieve is, number 1, give you more information than you thought you were going to get, and also maybe take away some myths that you've heard about coming into real estate. And so we're also going to talk about what the day in the life of a successful agent might be.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So we're also going to talk about a day in the life of a successful agent. And we're also going to touch on
Can you hear me?
Of AI in real estate. If you're one of the people joining us, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. And we'll have time for Q&A through the chat after towards the end. A little bit about our company, and I talk about Royal LePage and a Royal LePage network, and about our own brokerage, just as some information for you. If you could advance to the next slide, please. I'll just move into this. I think it's been shuffled, but that's okay. That's why every time I do a presentation, by the way, everyone, it always helps to have a hard copy in your hand so you can shuffle through and change gears right away. So why don't we get to attributes of a great real estate agent? Don't be too hard on yourself if not all of this doesn't fit. And if you think, well, I'm not really that and I'm not really this, there's no absolutes here. I just want to give you some trends. So the first one is people skills. And sometimes when people come into real estate, they think it's all about the property. And quite frankly, the majority of your work will be spent working with the people, not the property, and getting to know them, what their needs are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what are their concerns. Are they commuters? Do they want to live out of town? Do they want to live downtown? Do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? Do they have physical needs? All these sort of things. You have to be well-rounded enough to be good at building relationships with people and understanding really what makes them move. The next thing, you definitely have to be, can we go back, please? You have to be self-motivated. And so it's not a job, it's not a it's a career, it's a business more than either of the other ones. So imagine you're going to start your own business. Imagine you've just bought a Tim Hortons franchise and you've spent, let's say, $1.5 million. You're probably going to be pretty self-motivated to do this and work hard and be really on top of your game. The same thing comes into real estate. The good part is you don't have to buy a business to start one. You don't have to buy inventory to sell it. So these are good things, but you have to be very self-motivated. Don't wait for a manager to call you and say, hey, where have you been last week? No one's asking you that. And so it's very important. Patience. So patience is one of these things in our business that you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people's money. You're not dealing with business people generally spending corporate dollars. And you're dealing with them moving their families, changing their lifestyle, etc. And so however patient you may or may not be, it really doesn't matter to the client. So you have to be able to figuratively hold their hand through the learning process and the decision-making process. So that's very important. One of the big differentiators for realtors is expert market knowledge. The more you know as to what's happening in the marketplace on a granular level, on a weekly basis, in the area that you trade in or the area that you're working with a client, the more value you'll be able to bring to a consumer and the more trust they'll have in you. So you really have to know that. Have you ever heard the phrase, an elevator speech? I think a lot of us have. So when someone asks you, how's the real estate market? As a realtor, you have to have a better answer than, oh, it's kind of slow, or oh, it's really busy, or it's okay. You have to be able to tell a compelling story as to what's going on, whether it has to do with shortage of housing, whether it has to do with interest rates. You might be able to say, geez, we have 82 new listings in Mississauga last week. Of those 82, 45 were freehold. There were 77 offers that came in on those listings. And you can kind of talk about what's going on in granular detail, and that will set you apart from all your competition. Coaching and lifelong learning. So being coachable is sort of observation of what you're doing without judgment. And so your coaches, your mentors, when you come into the business, you need to find someone who's going to kind of help you along and coach you and train you and work with you. Lifelong learning. You're going to find that the courses that you're taking now are just the beginning. And our calendars are always full with continuing education, both mandatory and for your own business knowledge. Let me just adjust my screen here for 1 second. Thank you. High energy. Some of your days are going to start really, really early and finish really, really late. And you need to be good at maintaining a high level of energy. It's not unusual to have a cooler bag in your car and have some munchies and a fruit and a bottle of water and things like that, because you may have to skip the odd meal. You need to have good focus and good stamina. And so you have to sort of be good to yourself, I think, and just maintain that. Work ethic. all 100% of the top and most successful realtors are really, really hard workers. They show up, they're the first there, they're the last to leave. And so that's something that you need to do. I can tell you that in the beginning of your career, if you're taking it seriously, you're not going to get too many days off. And so you're going to have to pick and choose for special occasions and things like that. You just want to, you need to put in the grind, especially in the first couple of years. I know when I talk like this, some people think, oh my gosh, this isn't for me. And part of the reason why we do these talks is because we want you to know what is involved, and not, there's a lot of false thoughts about what the business is about. So I just want to call it as I see it. Business mindset. If you've been in business before, it's a bonus. It'll help you. You want to think and act like an entrepreneur, not an employee at all. Detail oriented. We, as agents, we craft contracts, and many times they're multi-million-dollar contracts, and they're legal and binding. And so you have to be very, very careful of that. When someone buys a home, it's important that they have an inspection. If they're buying a condominium, that they take a look at the status certificate to know what's going on within that building. There's a lot of pieces and responsibility that you're going to be trusted with, and precision matters 100%. You can't sort of guess. Trustworthy goes without saying. You're dealing with people's families, with their money. You have to be dependable and trustworthy. The last one about the attributes is financial readiness. With very few exceptions, when you come into a brokerage and you start as a new realtor, there's no salary, there's no base. And so you really only get paid when you transact, and you don't necessarily get paid when the transaction happens, but you get paid when the transaction closes, or if it's a rental property, when the people take possession. Many brokerages have the ability to have you do advances on your commission in advance if you need cash flow, and so that's important. When I say financial readiness, the really important thing is, just to give you a little bit of a caveat, if you're not ready financially, that means you're probably going to have another job while you're trying to get going in real estate. It's very common and seldom successful. So you are much better off delaying your start until you have a little bit of cash, or you can lean on a line of credit, or you can have a family friend or family member who's going to help you. It's very difficult to have two full-time jobs. It's completely allowed in the province of Ontario. You can work in another career. While you're in real estate, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just hard to be good at two jobs. The time when it's a conflict of interest would be, let's pretend you worked for one of the large banks. And depending on what division you were in, the bank could say, no, we're not good with you trading in real estate, because let's say you're in the mortgage business, or maybe you're in the financial planning part of one of the big banks. They might say, no, you can't do both. And this is not RICO that'll do that. This is if without the consent of the other employer, you can't do it. I would say that ideally, if you had 6 months of cash flow available to you, that would be enough to get going, as long as you do everything else that you need to do and get coached, get trained, and really work hard at your new craft. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is really crucial, and finding the right fit is something that's very personal. So I would suggest you don't go out and join a brokerage because your friend just joined a brokerage. I think you have a friend that already works at a brokerage. It may be good for that person, but it might not be for you. So I would suggest that you interview in person, that you reach out to the brokers that are out there, and I'll tell you how you look for them. So how you look for them is, do you see them in the market that you want to work in? So let's pretend you want to work in Vaughan, and you live in Vaughan and you want to work in that area. That's sort of a great place to start. You maybe know lots of people there. You have an idea of what's going on in the real estate market. And so you're going to see dozens of brokerages out there. There might be hundreds, but there's going to be one or two or three that you're going to notice and are going to sort of, you'll be paying attention to. And if I give you you're going to get a copy of this, by the way, all these questions, so don't worry about making all these notes. You're going to see signals of success in the marketplace. And it's a double-edged sword. Real estate is about the people. So the clients that you are going to work with, they're picking you. They're not picking the company. So don't let anybody tell you that, you have to be with this company because this is who the consumer picks, because it's not true. What is true is that it's a combination. So first of all, they're choosing to deal with you, not a corporation. However, it's important that they recognize the corporation as being successful in the marketplace. So if the consumer's never heard of it and they kind of like you, now you need to spend time trying to educate them about what the company's about. So just something to keep in mind is there brand presence in the marketplace? Do you notice them? Do you see their signs? Do you see that they obviously have successful agents because they have for sale signs everywhere? You see them on social media. You see them with their marketing where they're talking about just solds and new listings and all this kind of stuff. So if you never notice them and you never see them in the press, for example, and I don't mean advertising, I mean quoted in the press. So the president of a national company is always on the news or is seen on Bloomberg or things like that, talking about real estate. These are signals, and these aren't ad dollars. These people are being asked to speak because they have dependable information and data. So that kind of assimilates with everything about you, everything about the local company that you work with, and if it's a national company, what they stand for. So once you start thinking about those things, that's a good time to maybe reach out, go online and contact them. Every single brokerage out there has something about, talk about joining our talent team, talk about joining the brokerage, new to the business, etc. Just click on there and somebody, if it was our brokerage, it would be me or one of our managing brokers that would get back to you and make an appointment to go see them. And think about all these things that you need to think about before you get there. So here's some keys: culture and synergy. All that means is, how does it feel? Does it feel supportive? In your entire career, you really want to work for a brokerage and with a brokerage that is set up to support their agents as their clients and business partners. And then you take all that, and now your clients are clients and business partners as well. It's that sort of relationship. So does it feel good? That's important. Location. Does it make sense with where you live, where you plan on living in the future, where already know people? It makes it just a lot easier. You don't have to commute when you're in real estate. You commute when you're showing houses for people and condos and all that stuff. Brand presence, we already talked about. Market presence, we talked about. Community involvement. One of the pillars of our business is based on the fact that people like when businesses give back to the community. Everybody does. Everybody feels good when you transact with a company and you see they've supported a hospital, or they've done this and done that. You want to see that the company and their agents are involved in the community. And I don't care what it is, but are they giving back locally to the people? Because it's a grassroots business. It's not a ivory tower sort of business. Business support at that brokerage. So what training is there? What tools? What resources are provided? These are huge. And down to a CRM, down to training, coaching, ongoing everything. Like, there needs to be stuff happening all the time because nothing stops changing. And so they need to give you statistics. They need to give you updates as to what's going on. There's so much noise out there that hopefully the brokerage you end up with is good at filtering it for you and helping you learn your craft and support your business. And I was going to touch on marketing support, but we do have our marketing director here in the room. And Talia, if you could jump in and say a few words about what marketing within a brokerage does, not necessarily what we do, because I promised them it wouldn't be a commercial about us, but more so, what sort of services should a marketing department give to their agents?
Absolutely. So hello, everyone. I'm Talia. I manage marketing and communications at Meadowtown. I know with a lot of our new agents, I can only speak to my experience with our new agents coming into our brokerage. But having things like support for creating your signage and business cards when you're getting started. We often see new agents that are hosting open houses for other agents to get some experience. So having things like a custom feature sheet where you've got all of your contact information, you've got that on hand to give to people that you're interacting with. Things like websites, social media. These are things that can take up a lot of your time as a new agent when you want to be focused on sort of your career growth and building your client list. So looking for things like that where you've got sort of a full service website can be really, really helpful. Assistance with social content, that's something that a lot of our new agents lean on us for a lot. So having support for your listings where you can have social tiles that are created for you, have some industry content, some information on the market, neighborhoods that you're working in or targeting. And I know, again, having that extra support like marketing services as you're getting going can be a critical thing because it preserves your time. So it's something that I definitely recommend you look for when you're shopping for a brokerage to work with.
Great, thank you, Talia. Next thing, I'll skip the next one for a second. Supportive environment. Will you have access to support? It's crucial. If you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant. Have you ever heard that before? And so it's very important that you feel supported in your career. So who does what to help you? So these are questions that I think you should ask, and you should ask every brokerage that you interview with, and each one should probably have a different answer for you. And you might find two or three that, sort of give you all the right answers. And that's when you go back to, how does it feel? Does it feel like you want to work there? Does it feel like you want to partner with these people? Does it feel like you want to get into that leader's head and you don't mind if they get into yours a little bit? These are the things you have to think about. And you won't find that on a website. You really need to get there in person. The last thing is compensation. As many brokerages there are in, let's call it the GTA, and as many offices there's so many different ways that people can be compensated. And there's deal fee plans, there's monthly field plans, there's flat fee, there's splits, there's all kinds. And so you just need to ask the brokerage what theirs are and understand them and make sure you're clear on how they work. Very simple. So don't assume that if you talk to ABC Company in Brampton and you go to ABC Company in Mississauga, that they're going to be identical, because they probably won't. So you need to really just don't make any assumptions. Just ask a lot of questions. This is important. I can tell you that the average full-time agent in the GTA stays with the brokerage that they're with at a minimum of 8 years when they're at the right brokerage. And if you're at the wrong brokerage when you first start and you think, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought at all, don't sit around, get out. Go back to the interview process, because there's lots of good ones out there. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, day in the life. So the first thing you have to do is finish your courses. That's your number one thing, and then you've got some time. But so going back, I just want to go back one step in my head. It's not too early to start thinking about the brokerage you're going to go to. I know you're in course and you're probably focused on that. And many of you are, raising families and working and doing all these things and feel like they're stretched in so many ways already. But it's important that you really think about that where I'm going to go question. So let's go back to a day in the life. So these are your cores. And so, your first job is to find clients. And you find clients by becoming people in your circle's source of real estate information. So I don't want you to think about it like door-to-door sales and you're asking everybody you know if they want to buy or sell real estate. Nobody wants to engage in that. As an agent, we don't want to do that. And as a friend of yours, I don't want to hear of you soliciting me all day long. But it's really important that if you have that elevator speech we talked about, you're on top of your stats and information, and you communicate to everybody you know as to what's happening in the marketplace, people will come to you, especially people you have relationships with. And so if they have a need or a question, they will do that. So finding clients is very important, and you can call it prospecting, you can call it relationship building, whatever it is. And if you don't know what to talk about, speak to the brokerage that you're at, and they'll give you the data that you could talk about. And you could post it on social media, you could talk to people on the phone, you could go visit them, all sorts of things. But being able to speak intelligently about what's happening in the market is really, really, really important. Relationship building is very important. So sometimes when you think, depending on what career you come from, sometimes as a realtor, you'll be doing things that don't feel like you're working, but you're always sort of working. And so if you're invited somewhere, you should go. You're going to meet new people. You never know how things are going to come about. So finding clients. Prioritizing with support. You need to go to everything. If they have sales meetings, find a way to get to them, whether they're online or in person. You need to go to training. You need to have mentorship. You need to use the broker resources. And so a really good way to think about it is it's there for you. So if it's there for you, use it, take it. Don't take for granted that you already know something. You need to connect. So you build trust through calls, networking, open housing, community presence, all those things. You might engage someone, for instance, that you knew from a previous job, and you guys are friends on one of the social media platforms. And then you're from Streetsville, for example, Mississauga, and they have a festival every spring called the Bread and Honey Festival. Well, turns out you volunteer there. And so, those people that walk right by you and they see you giving out things and doing that. And they say, oh my God, we didn't know you were doing this here. And it's funny how the worlds collide. And the more active you are, the more you'll appear to be in the middle of everything. And that is a great way, and it's a nice way to build a business. Some people are really scared to death of technology, and you really, really, really need to learn it, and you have to learn to be comfortable with it. We had an interesting call yesterday. So there's multiple providers of MLS. I'll tell you this funny story. And so one of them, the photos that you load, there's automatic generation of comments based on the photos, and it's through AI, which I'll touch on at the end. Well, for some reason, this AI platform is misdescribing the property. So if there's a house next to it and there's a garage, this form of AI is actually describing the subject property as having a garage. So we found out how to turn this off until they fix it. But people were looking at the content of this, and so technology can bite you sometimes too. But you have to be able to just kind of roll with this stuff. You're going to need to show properties. You're going to need to show properties in the snow. You're going to need to show properties in the dark, in the rain. And so you have to expect that you need to be flexible. You need to expect evenings and weekends, especially early in your career. One of the things that you will get used to is on your phone, you'll have an app from the Real Estate Council of Ontario. And the only thing this app has is your real estate license on it. So when you're showing condominium apartments, every single concierge will ask you to have your phone and have your app there so that they see you're actually licensed. The challenge that we just encountered with one of our newer people, he was showing property for the first time, condos downtown Toronto. Well, when I spoke to him a couple days later, we touched on all this, but he said, I couldn't even find parking. And he says, I was meeting the client there. And I said, how'd the client get there? And they said, Uber. I said, and you were looking for parking? He says, yeah, I'll never do that again. And then our agent got there and he thought he could navigate things, but he couldn't find the parking spots. This was a condo downtown, at one parking spot, two levels of underground parking. He couldn't find them. There was a locker. He couldn't find that. He didn't know where the exercise room was and the pool and all this stuff. And it just kind of went past him when he learned of all these things you have to do. You have to go preview property, particularly if you're showing 5 or 6 units in a condo apartment. You need to know everything about what's going on there. And this is work that you're not paid for. This is pre-work before you meet the client there and trip over yourself. Adaptable hours. Just get used to it. We touched on that, because you need to be available when the client's available. And when you get to the point where you're so busy that you can pick your own hours, congratulations, and you probably should hire someone to work with you so that they can do the running for you. Continuous learning, you have to stay current. Things change so fast. Even what you're learning right now, no offense, Humber, much of what you're learning right now has already changed in Ontario real estate law. And so there's some things you're going to be confused when we start telling you this has changed, that's changed. It's just, that's how it is. Accountability, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. You need to follow proven systems. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. One of the things that our top people will say is, why don't you just watch and see what the top people are doing and copy them? And it's funny, our top people will come and do workshops. They do it all the time. And they do it because they give back. Or we might have somebody from, let's say, BC, who's going to come out and do a workshop for us about something that they're expert in. And they're going to present to our team. And what happens is, now that person from BC has just met, 50 people virtually from the GTA. And now he's given value, it costs them nothing, and now they have a referral partner that's in another province. These are things that I'm sure many of you hadn't thought about. And so that would mean one of our people has a client moving to Victoria or Vancouver, and they're going to call this person and say, can you take care of them? And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic business, except for handling rejection. That's not fun. And so it's never fun for anybody. However, the rejection isn't necessarily rejecting you. It might be rejecting your prospective approach. It might be their timing. It might be they have a friend in the business. The one thing I'm going to prepare you for is, once you're licensed and with your brokerage, and let's pretend you live on a street and you've got, all these houses there, and one day you wake up and the neighbor right across the street has somebody else's for sale sign on it. And you're going to think, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. And they have their own reasons. And that's one of those things. And you're going to remember me. When that happens, you're going to think, oh my God, I can't believe that would happen. And sometimes it's someone you don't even expect, someone who comes over to your house for dinner regularly. And for some reason, they listed with someone else. So that kind of rejection we have to live with. You have to learn to embrace feedback from your clients, your peers, your managing team, your mentors. And you can't take it personally. It's there to help you get better. So what I will tell you is, all those things are great, but the level of service is very high. It's very high for the best and I'm going to joke there, but the best and the brightest out there in real estate. The level of service is immensely high. So if you don't intend on serving clients at the absolute highest level, you're going to have trouble with this business. You really have to put that client first, 110%. Serve the clients at the highest level. There you go. I had it there already. Next. Next slide, please. AI. So, have any of you heard of a guy by the name of Phil Soper? Phil Soper, he's the president of Royal LePage Canada, president, CEO, great guy. You'll see him on social media everywhere. He's always talking about what's going on. He's one of those people that the press follows. And we were at a conference and he started with this simple sentence, because in many industries, people are really worried that AI is going to take their role out of the business. So AI won't replace realtors. We know that. What it will do for realtors that use AI, it'll help them outperform and replace those who don't use AI. Already we're seeing, and AI has only been for a few years, and it mostly appeals to Gen Z, who are using it not just as a fancy form of Google search. They're using it to do a lot of things. And I'll show you what we're doing. So lead generation. It's great to generate contacts on properties, initial contacts. So when we're using AI to put real estate in front of consumers, the consumer reaches out to the agent, and the response back and forth, many times the consumer isn't even aware of it, but it's done by a bot. And it's not those little chat bots that we used to have. These ones, sometimes actually your phone will ring and someone will be talking to you, and it's not a person. It's AI doing it. So for that initial contact, it's very good. And it helps to vet and connect with clients a lot quicker, and we don't lose the emotional and social value of in-person interactions. So for first contact, it's great, but it's a people business, and buying and selling their own properties is very personal. The human connection is absolutely critical in transactions like real estate, which can be complex, and they're later stage emotionally driven decisions. So it's not, just meeting you. AI it helps agents to search, custom sorting, sold data, creating marketing materials. It's unbelievable how people are using it. And now, we're all, as consumers, you can see sometimes when you go, that doesn't look right. And it'll be, I don't know, a car. And it'll be Mustang saying this is their 2026 introductory Mustang. And it doesn't even exist, and nobody's doing it, but you'll see it in social media, things like that. But there are some great uses, and it can be done really fast. Can we go to the next slide, please? Creating social media campaigns, absolutely. Video creation and editing. Creating, editing, and proofing contracts. There are companies, let's just step outside of real estate for a second. Big companies are not using their in-house or outside lawyers to review contracts. So once they have a contract, they'll feed it into any one of the platforms. I forget the one that someone was showing me, and Copilot. And through Copilot, they get a summary, because they're using the right prompts, of a contract. When's the expiry date? When's the notice dates? When do we do this? When do we do that? And typically, these are contracts that are 50 pages and more that they would have to engage a lawyer to review for them. They're not doing that anymore. Identify market opportunities. It's already started. You can already download data from the boards, and you can analyze where transactions are happening geographically by postal code. When you analyze competitors, SWOT analysis, many of you have heard of that, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It lets you figure out what your competition is doing, not just in our business, but in all sorts. Also, if you have some good prompts, you can get AI to help you build a strategy and business planning, and where you should do it, what you should do it, what technology tools you should use. It's absolutely amazing. The biggest thing that we see it doing right now, and I know as I say this, it's changing, the most valuable resource in our business, we would say when you get really busy, you really need to hire an administrator, right? Like a lawyer has a legal assistant, agents need to do the same thing. This will delay that, because there's so much speed with which the resource works that it just gives you more time. And that's why people hire an assistant or a second person within their team, is to get more time so that they can spend more time with the client and eventually spend more time with your friends and family. And so these are things that are changing really fast, and any brokerage that you're talking to should be on top of it at some point for sure. Can we go to the next page, please? we're really, this happened because Talia, our marketing director, asked me a question one day. She said, why aren't there scholarships in the real estate programs? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. And next thing you know, we were talking to Humber, and about a year later, I think we came to a point where we were able to start, and we were the first brokerage in Ontario to offer scholarships. Now, just so you get to know me a little bit, I told nobody. We didn't promote it. We didn't do anything because we thought we'd like to be the only brokerage for a while. But it came out, and there's tons of brokerages out there that also offer scholarships. But it's nice to have first mover advantage. And I know Humber will always recognize that for us, which is great. It's just, the idea, it pays about 20% of your total cost. The one that we're offering, it's $1,250. And so it's a significant amount to get you through your courses. All students who have completed course 2 are encouraged to apply. I'm not sure if you know why it's after course 2, but I'll share it with you. It's because the dropout rate after course 2 is very, very high. After that, most people go through to the end, and so that's why we do it. And I can tell you that it's not just the highest marks on the courses. There are other questions also. As a brokerage, we don't vet. We don't get the names. We don't say, oh yeah, we like that guy, or we don't like that woman. Humber does it. It selects the scholarship awardees, and of course you'll know who we are. And we've already had some great interactions. So it's a real feel-good thing for us, and we'll continue to get into the next seasons. What's next? That's it. So we were almost an hour, I guess, or 45 minutes, and there's a QR code if you want to take a look at that, and that'll bring you to us. There's our website information if you want to receive anything that we put out, not solicitous information, but we put out market stats. We do all sorts of stuff, and you can stay updated. And our last slide is just the contacts of our management team. If we can go to that. I'm, as I said, broker of record and owner, managing broker of Georgetown office, Halton Hills, that area. Aaron Oliver Battis is our managing broker for Milton, and Jason Hughes is our managing broker for Mississauga. And that's the whole commercial. So I hope you got good value out of this. And I think, do we have time to answer some questions if there are any?
Yes, we actually have a question, Alex, that came in.
Great.
Someone would like to know how much time they have to find a brokerage once registration is completed.
That's a good question. I think it's 1 year, and once you've completed your courses, so you don't have to do it right away. You can delay for sure.
And then you do need to find a brokerage in order to register.
Yes, sorry. So you can't register directly with the Real Estate Council of Ontario. You need to have a brokerage that sponsors you. You sign up with them, and they process your application and approve your application. So as broker of record, if you were joining us, our manager and our administrators would take you through the application process, and then I would get an okay, I would review it, and I would approve it, and then the Real Estate Council approves it.
Excellent. So there is a chat function for the folks that are with us here today. I think Carrie gave you the thumbs up. I think that's a thank you very much. So if you go to the top of your screen, you'll see the little chat bubble. If you click there, it opens up the chat for you, and you're welcome to post any questions in there that you have for Alex or for Talia. And in the meantime, I think one of the things, Alex and Talia, that we get asked a fair bit when we have learners on campus, because we do have in-person simulation sessions as well as virtual sessions. So when people come on campus here and they're engaging, I've had the opportunity to say hello and meet a few of the learners that come. And I know you did go over this, but I think it's really helpful, to hear these messages around, when you're actually looking for that brokerage and you're trying to find the one that is the right fit for you, how do you know? How do you, like, what are the things that maybe you looked for when you were first starting out, or that people should look for now, that are, really top of mind for you? I mean, I know that there's a lot of aspects to how a brokerage supports and that kind of thing. But if you could kind of nail like the top 3 for
So
folks.
sure, and I'll make it simple. All the bullets that we talked about are important, but the thing that's most important is that you feel supported, and so personally. So something that leaves clues is success. You've heard that. So do you see that? Check them out and see who's working for their brokerage. Who are the people? Like, do you see their signs? So when successful people work at a brokerage, it says something. There's a reason they're there. And so, and many of them, the most successful people, are the ones who move around the least from one brokerage to another. So, but really, it's personal. You have to feel that when you are asking these questions, and don't be shy to ask questions, they're interviewing you and you're interviewing them. And there has to be that sort of, that flow between you. And if you feel like you're in that flow and that they're supporting you and they're saying all the things that we've talked about today, and they're showing you how they're going to support you and what they're going to do, and you have to, it's like, when you meet somebody, and sometimes you meet somebody and they have all those things, but there's something about them that just doesn't connect with you, and you're never going to be friends probably. And the same thing is true when you're picking a brokerage, or when we're interviewing someone to join us. Is that someone we want to work with? Is that someone that you think can support you? It's really those soft parts that are all very important, in addition to the technical sides. If it doesn't feel right, it's not. Keep looking. Does that help?
Thank you very much. Right, we did have a question about the recording and the PowerPoint, and yes, we will share all of that with you by email after the presentation. And then there is another question here. Ali is asking, just wondering, does the brokerage refer any listings to new agents? Thank you.
So I'm not sure why you picked listings, but do we refer clients? Yes, absolutely. Very seldom does a listing come to the brokerage. It's a client that would come to the brokerage, either buying or selling. Many times we get agents from out of town that are not going to come to our markets, and they say, I've got someone who lives on any street, Milton, and do you have anybody that works in that area? And so the first thing we'll do is we'll look and see who works in that area, who's the local expert. We'll get some ideas as to what the client's all about, what their needs are, and we'll try and match that agent with that potential client, and that happens all the time. We also do lead generation through our company website, through social media, where we also attract business as well. But most of the time, the client goes directly to the agent, not to the company.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next question is from Carrie. How does the post-registration education work, especially if we are working full-time trying to get started? And so if you're speaking from the Humber side of things, post-registration is 2 years, and you have 2 years to finish your post-registration component. If you're talking about it from Alex and Talia's point of view, and balancing working and going to school, I'll let them answer that piece.
So it's not.
I guess it's the balance, right? It's the balance of like, how are you completing your courses and working at the same time?
It's not easy. And so, when we do continue education courses, and every agent and broker has to do them every couple of years. And we also have to take regular courses that aren't mandated. And usually they happen for me anyway, early in the morning, and start knocking off some stuff, or at the end of the day. And so the nice thing is the timelines are pretty good. And as long as you don't wait till the 11th hour to start it, and you just kind of start right away and just chip away at it. But it's not easy. It's not easy to do everything at once. Plus, the learning curve is shaped like a hockey stick. It's, everything's sort of coming at you at the beginning, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so just maybe be aware that that's probably a feeling you're going to have as you embark on your new career.
I think this leads nicely into the next question, actually. In most industries, it's very difficult to get a meeting with any senior people to provide some orientation or job advice. Do brokerages actively accept appointments with prospective new agents, or does one have to, I think, distinguish themselves just to get an appointment?
So, sorry. Every brokerage is always considering hiring new people. It's a matter of, do those people fit with the brokerage, and does the brokerage fit with those people? So I think you'll find that you should not have a problem getting an appointment with one of the leaders who can speak with you. And that's the nature of our business. And we're always looking for new shining stars. You must remember, those great agents that you see out there and those big names were all just like where you are right now at one point.
And I think as well, there's mentorship available, right? If you have the connections at the right brokerage, right? Like larger brokerages, even smaller brokerages do have some mentorship programs or ability to connect with someone who's been around for a while to help you. I'm assuming your brokerage does the same thing.
Yeah,
Alex?
and we also have teams who like to bring people onto their team who are brand new to the business, and they'll train them, and you'll work under that team environment. So there's lots of options. Just come, go see some people, and if you have trouble with knowing what questions to ask, just send one of us, send myself or Talia a note. And if you want a list of questions, what you should ask. I mean, I think most of it is in here, but if you don't, and if there's something that you want to talk about, not in a group right now, feel free to reach out. Not everyone's comfortable in a chat.
Yeah, that's good. And I think we have learners from different points in their learning journey here with us today. And so the next question comes from Dave or Duffy. Who pays for setting up a property for showing, the agent or the brokerage?
When you mean setting up for showing, could you clarify a little bit?
Okay, so if you can clarify in the chat, and then we'll move to the next question and come back to you. And I think you touched on this as well in the presentation, Alex. Since it goes back to the time management, how do you manage time for real estate if I work full time?
It's a question I ask myself all the time when someone comes in and they're not available to come to a sales meeting. They're not available to come to training. They're not available for engaging and meeting people, and it's really, really tough. And so you have to lower your expectations of yourself, because if you have a full-time job and you have a family, it's not easy. And so if in a perfect world, you need to set a date ahead, a future date, that you're going to quit what you're doing if you're able to, and start your new career on a full-time basis. There are some people that they manage, but they're people with very, very, very unique circumstances. So we have one person, he's a fireman. He works, 6 shifts a month. And so he's got lots of flexibility, but I don't know too many that have that kind of flexibility to be able to do that. So you got to really be really organized.
Yeah, and I think our next question, what is your advice to new sales reps who possibly have prospects for both residential and commercial buyers or investors? Also, for marketing, a variety of ideas were mentioned. Is there any funding provided to support initial startup in brokerages, or is it solely our responsibility?
My initial answer is yes, for both. So the brokerage that has the marketing support and things like that can help you. But you generally, as a new realtor, you need to power your boat most of the time on your own. You need to pay for your own marketing, etc. There are brokerages that provide marketing services. Some are paid for marketing services, others are complimentary. And again, these are questions that every single brokerage will be different. Some brokerage don't get into the marketing space, and so they might do other things. Does that help?
I think I mean, another thing to add would be also your brand, right? The brand of the brokerage that you're joining. If it's Royal LePage, you know, that joining a brokerage like that comes with, you know, some built-in marketing, so to speak, right? You join a popular brokerage in your area, or you join a national name, and then that's helpful as well.
Yeah, they'll have built-in marketing campaigns, etc., to help, even lead generation. Every national company has all the listings on their websites, and so they, as a national company, generate leads on other brokerages listings as well as our own, and those leads get distributed to the agents, and that happens through Royal LePage Canada, Remax, etc. All the big platforms for sure do that all.
Okay, and so we do have a couple other questions, but I'm recognizing that it's 1:01, and so we're at the end of our webinar. But there are some questions in the chat. So what we can do is we can grab onto. Oh, there's some more. 3 more questions. We can grab those and we can have Alex and Talia respond to those questions and provide those answers to you by email, because we have everybody's email address. I've also popped into the chat a quick survey. If all the participants here wouldn't mind just clicking on that survey and completing the survey. It allows us to help to serve you better with future webinars. It will allow Alex and Talia to see the topics that you're interested in covering in future webinars, and we'll be sharing that information with them as well as our team here at Humber. And so I'd like to thank Alex and Talia for joining us. I really enjoyed your presentation. I think that there's so much more to discuss. I wish we had more than an hour, but we'll have you back again. And so for those folks who are still on the call, stay tuned. Make sure if you haven't applied for that scholarship and you're eligible, it's open. Applications are open until June 30th. So head to our website and check that out. And yeah, thank you so much again, Alex and Talia. So great to see you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I wish everybody a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Bye, Saber.